Yeah, Baruch Hashem.
How far did you get in terms of going south?
We went as far south as you possibly can. We made it to Miami.
Actually, went to Miami?
Yeah, we did actually. In the end, yeah. Baruch Hashem. Yeah, hope I've had a good break. Back to our regular scheduled programming. Okay, we're on Kuf Beis and Beis, 102b. We're in the middle of discussing the three kings mentioned in the Mishnah as those who forfeited their share in the world to come.
We're coming. Gog and Magog.
I hope we paid that due already. But
it will come. The way it goes, definitely.
I think it's a Sachat Rebbe who said, I think it was Sachat Rebbe, but I'm pretty sure it said in the name of the Baal Shem Tov that the Hashem promised that the Jews are going to be in Egypt for 400 years. Then they were only there for 210. So there's all kinds of explanations. It starts from the birth of Yitzchak, or starts from here, ends in there. One of the answers is that Koshi Ashibud, because of how difficult the 210 years were, it counts for 400. So there are those that go in. So I think Sachat Rebbe said that this is before the Holocaust, way before. He said that we have the other way. Because of the length of Golus, we've paid up for whatever trouble has to happen. Doing the reverse of the 210 years, 400 years is packed into 210 years, so whatever trouble had to happen was spread over thousands of years. Now, he said this before the Holocaust. So at this point, we can say we paid up our dues both in length and in trouble. So hopefully we don't have to go through any Gog and Magog. We can go straight to the Gula.
Relates for the 400 shekel that Abraham bought the...
Yeah, I'm sure it's all connected.
Yeah.
Okay.
That one is 400 as well.
Okay, so... Yeah, there's just a little parenthesis.
Let's go to the war.
Okay, so we're in a discussion about the three kings who forfeit their share in the world to come. They are, the first one is Yerovam, Achav, and Menashe, right? That's right. And we discussed... Oh, 1 second. And we discussed Yerovam at length, and then we're in the middle of our discussion about Achav, and then we're going to get to the discussion on Menashe, the king Menashe. So Achav, as we've been learning, is a king in the northern kingdom, married Zerubbabel. Jezebel, sorry.
And Jezebel in English.
Jezebel, yeah. And she enticed him to behave badly, and as we've learned, even though he was a Torah scholar, he nonetheless was enticed by idol worship. He's the one that informed us that the Yetzer Hara, the inclination for idol worship, was extremely, extremely strong, even notwithstanding their Torah scholarship. And we're going to talk more a little bit about him, and then we'll go to Menashe. So we are.
Menashe was the one who came to my dream. Achav was a different.
Oh, sorry, yes, okay, Menashe.
Yeah,
Menashe is the one that came. So we didn't discuss why did it come up. Oh, because we're talking about people who were talking about these kings. That's why it came up. Right, as Menashe told us that. But nonetheless, the same principle applies. Yeah. No, we talked about how he supported Torah study, even though he supported also idol worship. Okay, we'll get to more of that as well. And we are on Amar of Nachman. So it's about halfway in the middle of the wider set of lines. The line begins with the word hapeh. Asher loy nashak loy, and then the sixth word is Amar of Nachman, Amar Reish Nun.
Just 102.
Right at the first page, 102b. Kuf Beis and Beis, right at the first page of the packet there. Amar of Nachman, yeah, a little higher, I think you are. A little higher. Yeah, you have it right there.
In the big lines.
The biggest of the lines, almost right in the middle.
I think on the wrong page.
Yeah, the first page on that packet, yeah.
That's okay.
Amar of Nachman.
Here.
You got it? Okay, so Amar of Nachman. Nachman said, Achav shakol haya. Achav was hanging in the balance, meaning to say, he had both equal reason for reward. He had equal measure for rewards. He had equal merit and equal measure of demerits worthy of punishment. Yishakal, he was even. Shenemar, as the verse reads, Vayomer Hashem, and God said, Mi yiftes Achav, who will entice Achav, Vayal, Vayipol Berimas Gilad, and he'll get up and he'll fall in the heights of Gilad, in that area. Vayomer Zebakoi, Vizebakoi, Vizayim. This one said that way, and this one said that way. So this is the beginning of Achav's downfall. The general overarching story is that Achav wanted to acquire some field from a neighbor whose name was Novis, which we'll meet in a moment. And Novis didn't want to sell the field. His nachla was his inheritance. And his wife, and Achav's wife, Zevel, told him, like, what kind of king are you? Can't buy a field when you want it. And she had a whole scheme set up to frame Novis. Novis got killed. And this set in motion a whole chain of events, which basically ended up with Achav's downfall, and eventually his sons, even the kingdom, falling apart. But at the beginning of this point, Hashem asked, who's going to entice Achav to go to this place where eventually he'll have his downfall? And the verse says, Zebakoi, Zebakoi. This one said that way, this one said that way, meaning it means God's ministering angels, it seems, are saying, God's asking who's going to go entice him, and they're all saying, oh, I'll do it. But from the way the verse frames it as Vayomer Zebakoi, Zebakoi, this one said that way, and this one said that way, it almost sounds like some said, I'll entice him to do it in a good way, and some said, I'll entice him to do it the other way, implying that he was evenly hanging in the balance. He could have gone either way. And therefore some ministering angels said, I'll entice him and it'll be to his downfall. And other ministering angels, it seems like, said, we'll entice him and he'll survive and he'll do well. So it could have gone either way. So this is Rav Nachman's statement. So Maskav Rav Yosef objects. We mentioned a number of times that there are different ways in which the Gemara introduces questions, and the way in which the Gemara introduces them tells you what kind of question it is. And maskif means a question, a challenge raised by logic, which means Rav Yosef's not going to quote a verse.
Actually,
he does quote a verse, but not really his argument. His argument, the verse is used to support his logic. It's really a logical counter-argument. It's not like a contradiction in verses, because the verses themselves don't contradict each other. It's Rav Yosef's interpretation versus Rav Nachman's interpretation versus what Rav Yosef understands from the verse. So it's a logical counteraction, as we'll see. So Maskav Rav Yosef challenges Rav Nachman's position that stating that Achav was even. Mandik Sibay, the one of whom it says, Rak lo yeh heye ka'achav asher skamer las rabbeinu Hashem asher hister oisei Izevel ishtoi. I think I'm pronouncing the words right. Hismaker lasis rabbeinu Hashem. Yeah. This is the prophet. I think it's Eliyahu Hanavi speaking and saying, just don't be like Achav, who decided to do that which is bad in God's eyes by being enticed by his wife Izevel. So when the prophet wants to describe bad behavior that you should not be like, he describes Achav. And this is the guy you're saying that he was balanced. That he was balanced. Well, this guy seems terrible.
Yeah.
So what kind of interpretation is this that Rav Nachman's reading? He was balanced. B'tanina, and we've also been taught b'chol yom, every single day, that Izevel, Achav's wife, would take Achav's weight in gold and offer it up to idol worship every single day. He had lots of money, apparently. Va'at Amris, and you, Rav Nachman, are saying Shakal Haya, that Achav is even. Ella, rather, we must say, therefore, it seems like Rav Nachman's still speaking, unless it's the Gemara's comment to explain. It seems like Rav Yosef is still speaking, unless it's the Gemara itself commenting to defend Rav Nachman's position. Either way, the Gemara resolves this by saying, Ella, rather, we must say, Achav vater me'mamono haya. Achav was very generous with his money. He had lots of money and was okay spending it. Clearly, his wife is offering up to idol worship his weight in gold, and because of his generous nature, he would also provide for the sages. We actually mentioned this earlier in the Gemara, I think. I believe it was mentioned earlier as well, as the reason why he was, right? Why was he allowed? Yeah. We learned earlier why did he even, if he's such a bad person, why did he even merit to be king for 22 years? And the Gemara told us because he honored the scholars, supported the scholars who studied Torah, which is made up of 22 letters, and therefore he ruled for 22 years. And this idea of him supporting the Torah scholars is part of his generous nature. He didn't care for his money and just spent it and spent it and spent it. Idol worship, fine, and likewise support scholars. And therefore, and therefore, because he allowed to enjoy, literally, meaning he supported scholars and Torah study from his wealth, he was atoned for half of his sin. And therefore, it's as if he was evenly balanced halfway, not because his behavior was halfway. His behavior was terrible. But that one thing gave him merit for half. There's a lot of things you can learn from this. And one of the things you can already learn from this is that it's a principle that Rambam articulates, which is it's not as if the measure of what's worth what in terms of your behavior and misbehavior is not something that's even for everybody and not something that anybody can possibly know. So it's possible that, like here, a person has 99.9% terrible behavior, 0.1% good behavior, and even that good behavior wasn't because he was specifically being good, just because by his nature he liked to give. So it happened to support good causes because he liked to give a lot of money, and that was enough to wipe clean half of his bad behavior. Even someone as terrible as Achav, just gives you an idea. It's a running theme, like we had before, like for Menashe. Even though the person Menashe was one of the kings who lost his world to come, but he knew Torah to the point that Rav Ashi, I think it was, who gave a class after hearing a halacha in a dream from Menashe, quotes Menashe as his teacher, Rabbi, my teacher. Even when you talk about people who are of the worst type, we are certainly not the judges and juries of who and what is where and who deserves what and who doesn't deserve what and who we can call what. And on the contrary, if anything, our job is to find positive. As you see here, even the Gemara makes a statement and clearly states they lost their world to come, yet the Gemara goes through different things describing their merits. How do they merit to become king? Wiping away half the guy's terrible behavior. Menashe being a scholar, and all kinds of things like that. So this is one of the things I think you can learn from this Gemara.
It's interesting, according to this, you have an interesting idea for the Jews who are not observant, but they give Torah, their scars very great.
That's what I'm saying?
It's good for a fundraiser.
It's the truth, though.
Yeah, that's what we're saying over here.
Yeah. It's the truth.
Isn't there, though, danger here? I mean,
yeah.
This one could look at this and extract from it that someone who has a lot of wealth can sort of buy his way out of a lot of wrong things that he did during his life. And I know
a lot of people feel that way.
A lot of people feel that way.
Yeah, so the truth is, there's a few things. Number one, there's a few things to be said. First of all, again, we don't know what's what. No, so what Hashem wants to do with which person, we can't know. That's number one. Number two, giving charity is a mitzvah like any other. People have the same claim on someone who, I don't know, puts on tefillin every day, let's just say. He thinks he can buy his way out of bad behavior because he puts on tefillin every morning, and the rest of the day he behaves terribly. Why is it different than someone's giving money to buy his way out of bad behavior? It's the same thing. In other words, it's a mitzvah like any other. That's number two. And it's the same. It has a certain obnoxious overlayer when it's a guy buying his way out of bad behavior versus someone putting on tefillin his way out of bad behavior. But the principle is the same, and people have the same claim. Oh, you're acting all pious because you do this, that, and the other, because you put on tefillin, because you do this, and all of a sudden you're going to do X, Y, Z otherwise, and you think that because you put on tefillin in the morning, therefore you have license to do whatever you want the rest of the day. People have the same kind of claim, and they're both equally right and both equally wrong, if you will. Number three is there's a famous Gemara which says Rebbe Mechabed Ashirim, which is Rebbe would give honor to those who are wealthy. Rebbe, the author, the compiler / author of the Mishnah, and the Rebbe points to the fact, and he's not the only one who does this, but the Rebbe talked about this, that the Gemara doesn't say Rebbe honor those who give charity. It says Rebbe give honor to those who have money. Why? So explains the Rebbe, and this is something that other commentators say as well, but I heard this from the Rebbe, which is, the person's been given a lot of money. It means, in other words, David should set up a system. God set up this world where there's givers and receivers. And in every area, every person is in some areas a receiver and in some areas a giver. For one person it's knowledge, the other person it's money, for another person it's comforting word, whatever it is. Every person is a giver and receiver in some respect. And the fact that Hashem gave this person that much money means that Hashem trusts this person to be a giver. That's his responsibility in life. So even before the person acted, just by the very fact that Hashem trusted this person with that kind of wealth, and put him into the position that he should be able to come up with whatever challenges come along with having a lot of money, and Hashem trusts him to be a giver, is already something worthy of respect. So that's what the Gemara tells us. Again, it doesn't mean that they have license to do whatever they want. In the same way, like I said before, putting on tefillin in the morning doesn't give you license to do what the rest of you want.
On the contrary.
On the contrary.
We was in tefillin, how you're supposed to have Shema Yisrael, Tzurich Hashem, and Chol Vav, it doesn't mention tzedakah. It mentions praying to Chacham. It's different. It doesn't mention tzedakah.
But it's a form of charity.
No, it's a higher form of God because you're only thinking charity gives to the poor. Here's Torah scholarship. So Torah scholarship is different.
It doesn't change his question.
No. I'm just saying this, making the observation.
Yeah, it's a unique type of charity here. It's not just supporting the poor; it's supporting Torah study specifically.
Yeah, that's right. Because the Torahs are life, so it's kind of like the ends justify. I wouldn't say justify.
No, the ends do not justify the means.
No,
it just in other words, let's put it this way: each isolated behavior is weighted on its own. That was a good behavior. It doesn't get canceled out because it's bad behavior. That's a bad behavior. It doesn't get canceled. It's a good behavior, right? But in terms of merit and demerits, we're not in charge of the calculation, and Hashem has his own cheshbon.
Yeah, but it comes to answer the question: how can a person do some awful things, and then there's some good things too? So that's Hashem will tar up to a certain point. Eventually, of course, we lose all of that.
There's a Fabrengen, since we're on the topic, but it's a very geschmack Fabrengen I once heard. Many years ago, I heard this in Kfar Chabad from Rabbi Shalom Feldman, and I'm not sure. I know he was quoting the Rebbe Marash, which is the fourth Chabad Rebbe. Sorry, but I don't know at what point the quote ends and where his commentary begins. So I'm not sure where. I don't look up the source. I don't know how much came from the Rebbe and how much he's adding. But this is what the bottom line was, that the Chassidus explains, Kabbalah explains, this is well known, you could even see it in Pshat and Drush, that ever since Adam ate from the tree of knowledge, right, the distinction between good and bad has been blurred. Right? It's become a gray area. Before the tree of knowledge, it was clear definition. This is good, this is no good, this is godly, this is ungodly, and ever since then it became a matter of gray. And therefore, there's no person that's 100% all good, and there's no person that's 100% all bad. You see someone who looks amazing, there's going to be a fault. And don't get all shocked when you see a little fault. You see someone who's all terrible, there's going to be something good. Don't think he's all terrible. And then he said, I don't think this came from the Marash, but I think at this point it changes from his commentary to what was said, but I don't know again. Then there is possible that a little bit of good that the bad guy has is exactly the little bit of good that the good guy is missing. It's quite possible. And furthermore, the reason why the guy who's so good gets nervous from the bad guy is not because of the bad he does, but because of the little good he has that he's missing. So, a lot of times, even when it actually leads to the next Gemara, interesting, 2 Gemaras later, the Gemara is going to discuss something similar, but whenever a person is thinking and being critical about other people's behavior, an honest person should look at themselves and see, why am I so critical? Why does it bother me so much? Why does it bother me so much? Why does it really bother me? And that's a lot harder question to answer than...
What am I missing?
Exactly. Work on yourself.
Why does his behavior irk me so much? What's going on inside of me that's making that person's behavior irk me so much? That's a much more difficult question to answer than the theological questions of why this one gets merit and this one gets demerit. Yeah. Much more difficult question to answer because it's personal. You're talking about yourself. Anyway, okay, let's see the next Gemara. I don't know if we'll get to the Gemara that I just referenced, which kind of connects to this, but maybe. Where are we? Oh, okay. Yeah. So we just mentioned this verse. We mentioned earlier that God announces, so to speak, who's going to go entice Achav. And Nachman said, because the verse says there are those who said this way and those who said that way, it's indication that he was even. And that there were some angels, some of God's so to speak, angels that he consulted with said, I'll go this way, and another person said, I'll go that way, indicates that he could have gone either way. So I said the Gemara like this. The verse reads, Vayetzer Ruach, and there was a spirit that arose, it came out, Vayamad Lefnei Hashem, and stood before God, and this spirit, this spiritual entity, said, Ani Efatenu, I will entice Achav. Vayomer alav Hashem, Vayomer Hashem alav, and God said to it, to this spirit, to this spiritual entity, Bema, how? What's your strategy? Vayomer, and this spirit said, Eitze, Vayisi Ruach Sheker, Befi Kol Neviah. I'm going to go out, and I'm going to be like a spirit of false speaking in all of his prophets. So the people that Achav is going to consult are all going to be talking lies, and it'll lead him down the path that we want him to. Vayomer, and God says, Tifteh, go, you got the job, go seduce him. V'gam tuchal tzei, v'gam tuchal, and you will be successful. Tzei v'aseiken, go out and do your bidding. End quote in the verse. So first the Gemara asks, my ruach, what's the spirit? Whose spirit is this? Amar Rabbi Yochanan says, Ruchai shel Navos HaYisraeli. It's the spirit of Navos Yisraeli. We mentioned earlier that Navos is this person that Achav killed, or actually Achav's wife convinced Achav to kill, to frame and get stoned to death by the court, because he didn't want to sell Achav his property. So he took his jealousy to the grave, literally, and then up into heaven, and he tells God, I want to go entice Achav to bring this downfall.
You see from this Gemara that that person can get retribution in this world. So this is the Gemara for it.
Yeah, that's an interesting point.
You don't appease the, that's what you have a halakha. You have to go both. If someone's got a problem with the person passed away, spoke with the kever and asked for mechila.
That's true. That's right. There's a whole set of halachas. If a person feels like something's going wrong, and he has to ask mechila of those who.
Yeah. Also, we have the laws before Yom Kippur as well. The same thing. If you had something wrong with the person, you appease the person, but the person passed away.
To go to appease them at the kever.
There's a Gemara for it actually. It's not just.
There's other Gemaras also where. Anyways, another Gemara like that also. Okay, so the Gemara like this might say, what does the verse mean when God says go out? God says, the verse reads, Tifteh, go seduce him. V'gam tuchel, be successful. Say go out. V'asei can do it. What do you mean go out? Just say. You already said do it. Go do it. What's say go out? Omar Ravina says. Say mimi chitzasi. God saying, get out of my. Chitzasi means my chitza means like my room, literally my countenance. My countenance, meaning to say, God saying, you can do the bidding, but you've left the divine and holy realm, even though you're going to be doing your mission. You've left the divine. It's not a location issue. Right? There's no place that's void of God. God's saying you've left the divine operating system, the properly holy divine operating system. Why? Because the verse reads, those who speak lies cannot dwell in my presence. This is God speaking. And therefore, because the Spirit said that my plan is to go lie, right? That says his plan was to go to the prophets and make them all lie. Because your plan includes lying, out. It's no longer, it's left the realm of Kedusha and it's gone to the realm of Klippa. It's gone to the realm of that which is ungodly.
This is kind of like a good indication of the Sitra Achra kind of idea.
That's right. It's Sitra Achra saying, even though he's doing God's bidding, as it were, because Sitra Achra also has divine energy to keep it going, but it's completely concealed and completely outside of the realm of Kedusha, the holiness of God. Because it includes lie.
The ends justify the means. Like it's lying for the purposes.
But you can see it has its own. It has its own problems, and this is what I wanted to say earlier. This is the Gemara I was referencing earlier. Amar Papa said, "Hanu Amar Inchi." This is the saying people say, "The parakina machir beisa." One who takes retribution out of jealousy destroys his own home. In other words, the Gemara literally means is that this spirit of Navos wanted to go entice Achav out of jealousy, and ended up meaning that he got kicked out of the realm of holiness. So his jealousy led to his own downfall. So first of all, I mean, you can read the Gemara literally. Just person carries jealousy and then acts on it. There is the problem of the way Hashem relates to him, but you can also read it on a psychological level. I mean, I'm not a professional psychologist, obviously, but jealousy, and certainly acting revenge on jealousy, doesn't just hurt the person about whom you are jealous, but hurts oneself, perhaps even more. It eats away at the person's inside, which gets back to what I was saying earlier. The person's criticizing somebody else. Maybe you're right about the criticism, but it doesn't change the fact that it really hurts you at the end of the day. Harboring that kind of resentment, it's not a healthy feeling to be carrying around. And at the end, like the Gemara says here, acting on jealousy kills one's own home, destroys one's own home.
One of the things that takes a person out of the world is one of the kina.
Sorry?
One of the things that takes a person out of this
Yeah,
world.
3 things that that take a person out of this world is lust, honor, and jealousy. Take him out of the world. What take him out of the world means? I think it means he loses his own world. It's one way of reading it.
Both. It affects someone else, but it affects the person himself.
Envy. It takes him out of his own world. He can't carry. It's hard to carry this kind of stuff around. This resentment. It's not a healthy, happy.
That's why with the one interpretation of the Rav said, "Ein dying from Ayin Hara." So some explain Ayin Hara is actually jealousy. He's jealous of others. It eats at a person. So
yeah, not the other person. You yourself get hurt much more by carrying that kind of jealousy around.
It destroys the person's.
And here you see someone took it to the grave and took it to the next world.
Just get stuck.
Also, there's a lot of the person was jealous. A lot of stress on him. He's always like never happy because someone has something he doesn't have, and every day it's like basically the stress on the person builds up, and his heart condition, cancer, whatever. So actually, medically, it's been proven a person with a lot of stress affects the person. Yeah.
So this is Nava. He took his jealousy to the grave and then into the next world. Yeah. Literally carried his jealousy into the next world, and even the next world destroyed him. So.
But Hashem never said.
Don't do it.
Oh, he said do it. Yes,
no, it's God has many ways to get things done, and He wanted to do it this way. He did it this way. Then, in other words, if He decided not to do it this way, or He decided not to do it, God would have had somebody else take care of the message, but He wouldn't have been suffering like that from His own jealousy.
Yeah, but Hashem said, "Go do it, but stay." It says both. Yeah. You give permission to do it.
Go do it, but you've left the realm of the holy. A lot to be learned. Have a wonderful day, everybody.